What's up, Legion? Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. We, of course, are the greatest pro wrestling podcast in the world, being recorded at this exact moment with these two hosts on this exact day in the year of our Lord 2024. I think that covers everything. With me, as always, is my partner in crime, my tag team partner, the flair to my steamboat, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. Showtime, how you doing today?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream. We really can't guarantee that we're the best podcast out there if you want to go with it, but I can guarantee you we're not the worst.
We are definitely not the worst. I've heard some, and I don't want to throw shade. Like, keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Yeah, do what you love.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody yuck your yum.
But maybe take a good hard look at yourself. I do it every day. It's hard, it's rough.
I try to avoid taking a hard look at you, so it's fine.
That's fair. You have to look at me at least once a week. At least. Real quick, Legion, as announced when we were talking on my episode with Hound, going into the holiday season, we are going to have a slightly lighter recording schedule, obviously, because of the holidays. Christmas and New Year's both fall on days where we would normally be recording our episodes. Also, the end of the year for wrestling tends to be a little lighter anyway. So we will be doing a Saturday night's main event review, though, and we will still get the review out for World's End for AEW. And then starting in the new year, Hound and I will be doing a review of NJPW's Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, the 2 days that they're doing their massive events. Showtime will, of course, not be on those because they involve AEW and Japanese wrestling, and that is asking way too much right now.
That's an awful lot. But, I still do the AEW pay-per-views. So let's see. If I can watch something, I can make the show. Maybe I'll pop in as a special guest.
Oh, special guest. If nothing else, I think you should watch Wrestle Kingdom. That's kind of the big, I think you should watch one or the other.
If I could fit it into the schedule, I definitely will.
The schedule.
And honestly, going into the new year, we have Netflix on Raw.
Netflix on Raw. We do have a couple of big things coming up at this point.
Yeah, the
Raw and Netflix
as one might say. Not on this show though.
No.
And which is cool. I heard the main event for that might be Punk versus Rollins.
That would be cool. It could be cool.
Can't be the main event because, Punk. Someone will bump him. John Cena will come in and fight The Rock.
Yes, perfect. Let's get into our nonprofit organizations that we support. First off is, of course, Tap Cancer Out, series of jiu-jitsu tournaments that help out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabel Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descent, and, of course, Tom Coughlin's J Fund. The other one that we have really taken a shine to, and of course the rest of the wrestling world has as well, and that is Chris Bay's GoFundMe. This is huge. I love the fact that the wrestling community has come together for some of these GoFundMes. Chris Bay's and Dutch Mantel's both have done very well. This is just proof that we are a very weird community and fraternity of brothers and sisters, if you will. It's nice to see that as much as we might gripe about product, we still come together on things like this when it should. And I reported a little bit on the episode with Hound and I. We did get some clarification with good news as far as Chris Bay. He is supposed to be going home to his own house this week. That's huge. Again, if nothing else, anyone who's ever been sick or had some type of surgery, some type of major procedure or minor procedure, I can guarantee you for the amount of injuries that I've had that I just feel better being able to be at home in my own bed, on my own couch, whatever the situation is. It just feels better than being in a hospital or a care center or whatever he was in.
Yeah, wishing back. Love hearing that. And look at us. We have sources now. Like that was.
We do have sources.
That is secondhand information, I guess. Instead of third-hand information.
Yeah,
We're getting
you guys are getting that. You guys are getting that from. We have sources. We won't come up with weird names for these sources, but we have sources.
The Jackal. Was it the Jackal?
No, that's Don Callis.
Oh, okay. Was it? Yeah, man, this would be a lot easier if it wasn't wrestling and everyone has weird nicknames. Was it the American Schmeitmare? No, it wasn't it.
It was not.
It wasn't him.
It was not him. All right,
we won't reveal our sources because we have integrity.
We do have integrity. Also, we don't want to put anyone else on blast.
No, that's more of the reason. We have no integrity. We just like our friends. We won't mess with them.
Shamelessly promote myself all the time, and I know Showtime does as well. Shane left his body in 1996. So Showtime, I heard a rumor. We're supposed to be talking about wrestling. Heard this rumor, which is funny because the first thing we should be talking about on this show dealing with wrestling are wrestling rumors. Wrestling, the wrestling news around the world, if you will. Ricky Starks and Rey Fenix from AEW are getting a lot of notice these days, possibly for bad reasons. Basically, AEW is keeping both of these guys under contract, but also not using them.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Starks was recently on. I was trying to avoid talking about this. I was hoping it was going to clarify itself before we had to, but now it's been a couple weeks and they keep posting stuff, so now we have to talk about it, unfortunately. So Ricky Starks did an interview on Chris Van Vliet's podcast, basically saying, like, I want to work and no one's using me. And then Rey Fenix has been a little bit more vocal about it, saying, again, there's no confirmation for some of the stuff, but he has been saying that he needed to seek medical attention and they knew it and they did nothing about it. And now that he has a chance to go somewhere, his brother is Pentagon, obviously, who is out of contract, but they extended his contract due to injury, which you can do. I'm not saying that that's illegal or anything, but it just seems a little cheeky, if you will.
Yeah, I fully understand the way contracts work. Let's be real. This is a business, and if you're going to extend someone, you should really use them. And like in the wrestling business, it's weird because a lot of times when people are coming to the end of their contract, if you're leaving on unsavory terms, you kind of use it to bury that person. So I don't want to see that either in this situation. But this story seems awfully familiar to one of the stories that CM Punk was saying throughout his time on when he got hurt. He didn't get the proper attention from AEW. He ended up having to pay for those surgeries himself, if I'm not mistaken. His like shoulder surgery. So
tricep, I think it was.
The tricep?
I think so, because it was the same thing that he tore one in AEW and then he tore the other one when he did the Royal Rumble.
So, like, the injury itself doesn't matter. It's what happened behind the scenes, particularly from the company that was built on being better to the workers and a better schedule and taking care of them, almost talking about unionizing to a certain degree, or at least using similar words without actually going full union. Providing health benefits in general. So that's the one thing that like kind of stands out with the Rey Fenix story is that he's kind of blowing the alarm, sounding the alarm around something that is meant to be what sets AEW apart. So that's the thing that concerns me the most. This is something both sides do. Due to injury time, they can extend a contract because you didn't work the dates you said you were going to work. And if you make exceptions here and not there, which they do, it's not really fair across the board, and you do set a precedent. It's almost like also you have to take a stand sometimes to not set the precedent, and that's not fair to the worker. Like it's either in or out. Like
that's where I'm at with it, is because to go along with this, the GCW wrestler Effie went on, I believe it's his own podcast, and kind of commented on some of the stuff that's been going on, that AEW is running the Hammerstein Ballroom about 2 or 3 weeks before GCW is. And for AEW, where that's a small building for them, I understand that it's a historic building and it is a big deal for like their Ring of Honor show that's going there. But for AEW proper, it's kind of a smaller building, where for GCW, this is a big deal. It's a big deal for them to run the Hammerstein Ballroom. It's somewhere between the 1,200 and 2,000 mark for where they run. And it's a historic wrestling building. So it's because of this, a lot of the rumor, and honestly, I believe I read that Dave Meltzer even confirmed this, that Ricky Starks was supposed to be on these shows for GCW and AEW pulled him from them. So here's my quick hot take on this. I don't even care about all of that. My thing is with the contracts and stuff like that. I understand the idea of being a businessman, and I do agree with you. You can extend business time and stuff like that. And I think the point where
it's
agree
in the
with
contract. You signed it. You made that agreement.
Exactly.
Not to sound callous, and not Don either. But that's business. Business.
That is business, and I do agree with you on that. My point is, if you're going to, like you said, it's sometimes better to not set the precedent when you've never set the precedent before.
Well, so you can't pick and choose. That's my problem. Like, oh, we like you, so good luck. We don't like you as much, so stay in your corner and shut up. Like that's not fair.
That's the thing. I don't care. Like we've all had bosses in our life. Like at this point, I don't mind having a boss that's a mean old cuss, but be the same mean old cuss to everybody. Like you do you have favorites? Yeah. What's the reason for your favorite? They do the biggest work. There are certain things that we can say nice about Vince McMahon on here. And one of them is Vince McMahon's favorites were the people who drew him money. Otherwise, for the most part, y'all sat on the same level with him. Like you either drew money or you didn't draw money. That was where Vince left your world at. He wasn't friends with the boys really, And that seems to be where this is kind of getting to with this is, well, I'm taking it personally that you might have another option with a bigger company. And that's.
Yeah. But also, I mean, it sounded like that the Lucha Bros were like negotiating pre-contract being done. And I know in a lot of sports things, like a lot of sports leagues, that's actually illegal. They can get into serious trouble and fines for doing it. If that's not the case for wrestling, then you play by the rules. Don't get all butthurt over it, and just kind of move on, because I'm sure you're doing it yourself. But they all played real nice around Becky and her contract of no one going to negotiate with her until her contract was over. And then this one kind of seemed like the Lucha Bros were negotiating contracts before their contract was up. So I don't know. I'm not taking sides. It smells on both sides. But the Ricky Starks and the GCW thing, I have an opinion on that one, and it's work. I'm convinced this is all just a big old work, because right after that, who shows his face in Ring of Honor and AEW right after all this goes down?
Cardona.
GCW's arguably biggest star. I mean, talk about building heat.
I agree. And the thing with Ricky Starks is, especially since a lot of people had gotten to the point of asking with them, this smells horribly like Jack Perry.
Yeah.
Like, this is recycled Jack Perry thing. Like, okay, there wasn't a fight involved, but oh, we're gonna send you away, and like once people start asking about you, then we're gonna let you start, because it also took them this long to do an interview about it. Like
Sure.
we've been asking about them for months, and no one's seeing them.
Yeah, so like this feels like a work. Maybe I'm wrong. It happens, but this feels very much more work than shoot. If you guys know the difference, look at Hulk Hogan's tweets. If you don't know the difference, and you probably won't know still, but there's difference.
I mean, isn't it all a work? Except for the next thing that we're going to talk about, and that was Bronson Reed having to have surgery on his broken foot after War Games.
I think the Ray Phoenix thing is a shoot, not a work. Like they're
that is true.
There's difference.
Bronson Reed, though, let's get into Bronson a little bit before we can get into some good news. I really hope that this is a quick recovery. Bronson Reed was getting hot, and I was really enjoying his stuff. And though I don't think that the technical wizardry was involved in the Bronson Reed Braun Strowman matches, the fact that like human beings were being thrown at each other was amazing. Like they didn't do 30-minute Iron Man matches, but for like 3 minutes, it was the most exciting thing on the show. And it was awesome. So for Big Bronson Reed, I hope you're back soon. Like we
don't expect him back in the next 6 months, man. Like
I don't think so. Not with, foot surgery and how big he is. Like, and I don't mean that in a mean way. He's a big dude, and that's a lot of weight on your foot, and you have to rebuild everything. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. If he has the ability to, he comes back trimmer.
I could see that. I mean, I remember when I got hurt when we were wrestling, and I lost like all that weight. Like I was eating, I was eating better, and I was trying to work out and trying to rehab my knee and stuff. But I had lost like a stupid amount of weight. Like that happens a lot in these kind of situations because you just kind of atrophy away. What he's done, like I think the earliest you see his return is the Raw after Mania.
I can see that. Honestly,
I think that's too early, but that's the earliest window where I'm going to be like, do we see Bronson Reed?
See, that's the thing is I was thinking even that's too early. I'm leaning more towards SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you're talking about 6 months. I'm thinking from this.
But again, we do hope that you have a speedy recovery because we've really enjoyed the stuff that you've been doing, Bronson.
But like, let me, before you move on to the next thing, because I gave you a heads up, I wanted to talk about something here, and I think this is a good segue into not a rant, but like into something cool. And I ruined it by saying it's a segue because that's how you.
That's the segue.
Because the men's, if you look at the men's War Game match, man, was that carnage! Multiple people hurt for like real, like real hurt, and we really critiqued the women's match of them not going hard enough, which I'm glad they didn't end up with 3 people on the shelf like this one did. And so me and a friend of mine, we've talked about Christian on the show before, but he and I were talking this weekend about how to fix the women's War Games match. And it started out with like, they should have just done the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. And then, it kind of went down this rabbit hole, and I'm curious your opinion on this, Stephen, and for the listeners, of turning it into two simultaneous matches going on, one in each ring, with 5-on-5. So you have 4 people technically in the ring, 3 people on each side waiting to be tagged in. Anyone can be tagged in anytime. You can't tag in the opposite team or something like that. But you have kind of 4. You have 2-on-2. The match can be won in either ring at any moment. It has to be won in the ring like a normal match. If you were to exit the ring and go into the other ring, like if you're the live opponent or the legal woman in this situation, and you go into the other ring, you get the 10 count. So if you are in that ring for over 10 seconds, during that count, and they count you out. You lose the match. The match is over for everybody. I think that particularly these 10 women, if they were in this style of a match, they could have had an awesome bout. Like they could have all showcased their stuff, done everything. They would have all looked really strong. Things that we were giving flack on Naya and some other people would have been smoothed out in this way. You could have gotten some really cool double teams of people going from ring to ring. So, Steve, I don't think there's ever been a match quite like this that at least I've seen. What do you think about that?
I like it. I do like the idea of it, and I think it helps, like you said, some of the people that we gave flack for, or some of the people that got flack in this match. It gives them a chance, not only because the cage isn't around it, it gives them a kind of a chance to jamoke. And needed jamoking sometimes.
There's not really much need for jamoking because then you could just be on the ring apron.
Yeah, exactly.
You just
can
be
be on
waiting.
the ring apron. I like the idea of being able to do cool double teams, like you said, for the 10 count and stuff like that. I was hoping that your marketing genius mind was going to have a name for the match as well.
Hey, I didn't even think to name it. I'll give you a name by the end of the show. I'll get you, like, we'll close it with that. I'm sure
we'll close it with the name for the show. And not like a terrible name like when I mess up Bryan Danielson's name and call him Bryan Danielson. Or Daniel Bryanson. That's
you
what
messed
I call
up him. The messed up.
I mess up the mess up. See, we have been, me and Hound have been calling him Daniel Bryanson now.
Nice.
That's where he lives in the world.
That's the name of the match too. It's the Daniel Bryanson match.
Daniel Bryanson. Yes, perfect. There it is.
That was hard to say too. Like that.
Oh man. No, I dig the idea for the match. I definitely think that with those girls, those women, that we could have gotten a really good match out of it, especially since not everybody would have been. It felt like even with 2 rings, everybody was right on top of each other.
Yeah, and because the problem with the War Games match is part of the production, right? Like I don't think they do enough planning to film or whatever you call that these days, 2 rings simultaneously and have action happen in 2. Now, I don't know if you need a split screen to be able to look at each one of them at the same time, or a broader view with some like smaller screens to kind of zoom in on the action. Like I feel like they need to do something else because the camera always just sits in the one ring. And the minute you realize it, you look over and like what you can see on the other one, and there's just people laying around. That was one of my biggest gripes around the men's match, and I don't know how much I went onto it in this, but like even Roman Reigns was jamoking. And I was just curious, like, what in the world happened to Roman that he's laying over there that I just completely missed? Like, what quintuple team move took the man who climbed in over the top and fought 5-on-1 and won? But now you're down for 3 minutes, not moving for some odd reason that I seem to have missed. So, like, that's what this would really do a good job of getting rid of, because then you would have just 2 simultaneous matches. You'd have so much action. You'd have to just figure out how to capture it all on camera. I just feel like WWE might be a little bit set in their ways of like the hard cam on one ring, and like it's hard to kind of bounce from back and forth. You just have to get creative with the director side of that.
I mean, they are working with the guy from Monday Night Football. One of the things that he was formerly with Monday Night Football for like 20 or 30 years or something like that. I think a cool idea, like you said, the almost like the grid view of it, like multi-camera view, kind of like how NFL Red Zone does things.
Yeah, we got the double box, triple box it,
triple box and a box and a box and a box,
quadruple box,
quintuple box.
Scott Hansen is losing his mind.
Oh man! All right. I got one more thing to talk about World Wrestling News, and then we can get into the promotions that we do follow religiously on this one. And that is the WWE is allowing Lyra Valkyria to wrestle Debbie Keitel in Dublin for Over the Top Wrestling at the end of the month, or at the end of December.
In a highly choreographed match?
Probably a highly choreographed match.
Sorry, Lyra.
Sorry,
Uh,
Lyra.
Everyone.
Sorry, Lyra. Lyra, I don't understand why you're flapping wings when you're coming out during your entrance either. You're not. I get it. You're the bird lady. You're not Coco Beware though.
She's a Valkyrie. I get that aspect of things. I just don't understand why every one of her matches looks like it has been practiced to death.
Because it's been practiced to death.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that.
Simplest answer. But with that said, that's wrestling news from around the world, as they say. And let's get into our favorite wrestling promotion. TNA, total nonstop action, Impact, if you will. This was a very good show coming off of their last PLE. That which one was their last PLE? I don't even remember at this point. Where they're going into Final Resolution. Turning Point. That's right. They were doing Turning Point. Thank you. I had a momentary brain fart on that one. We start off this show with a 5-way #1 contenders match for the X Division title. It consists of Kushida, JDC from the System, Trent Seven, the young boy Leon Slater, and Ace Austin from the ABC. Match starts off hot, but match also has a lot of potential for Jamokin because there's 5 guys in it and they're all X Division wrestlers. Johnny Dango Curtis being in there seems like it's just kind of insurance for the System, obviously, because Moose is the X Division champion. I'm actually surprised. Showtime, there was not as much Jamokin during this match as I would have thought, which was nice.
If there's any promotion that I expected you to say that, it's TNA.
That also makes sense. In all honesty, like most of the people being kept out of play, they were hit with moves that justified them being kept out of play. So I understood it. Like it was again, it makes sense.
Do you know what was my favorite part about this match? Is that Kushida went over. He is not who I would have expected to go over in this, and TNA is definitely the one that like really keeps you guessing on who's going to win this match. Because I'm pretty pumped to see him go up against Moose. Like this is a great push for him. Like I really like the way that this worked out because. Going into this, I was probably saying that Ace Austin was going to be the one that walked away with it. It made the most sense based on how over he is and whatnot. But this gives Kushida a really good opportunity to shine a bit more.
I would have gone with Ace Austin or Leon Slater. Leon Slater's getting a nice little rub. He is a young guy. Honestly, Leon Slater is the Javon Evans of TNA, which Javon Evans is in NXT and he's doing kind of a lot of the same type of stuff that Leon Slater is. Their style is nicely different enough where they don't look exactly the same, but they are younger guys that are a little bit on the smaller side as far as weight goes, and they do cool high flying stuff, but it's very different high flying stuff. So it looks cool when both of them are doing it. Kushida winning this. So he does a lot of stuff that involves references to Back to the Future, which Showtime, you and I are both fans of the movie in general. His tag team for the longest time was called the Time Splitters. They did all this type of stuff. He wears the Marty McFly sunglasses and the vest and everything. And he ends up getting the win with a variation of a cradle DDT, and he calls it Back to the Future. Now, we love the movie. I love the name. And I feel like we both love a good cradle DDT as well.
Sure.
And he does it where how he hit it was he also hit it and immediately hooked the leg as soon as they hit the mat. So it was like a cradle, almost like Fisherman Buster was the end of it. And I loved it. I am in. I'm a fan. So Kushida, if I was still wrestling, that move might have been stolen.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I could have seen me doing as well. Like if I didn't want to do the fisherman, I did the fisherman. That was my finisher for the matches that I've won for the most part. And like the fact that he was able to the way he hooks them and he keeps them in there with that DDT rather than flipping him over. It is really impactful. That's a good one. I'm surprised no one's done that more often. Like that's an easy. I feel like an easy variation of like keeping that stuff in and not letting somebody kick out of that move.
And it looked safe. So, or
Yeah.
for my eyes, it looked safe. It looked devastating, but it looked safe
For dropping somebody on their head. Yeah.
for dropping someone on their head. Right from there, there is a Nick Nemeth backstage segment. It gets interrupted by First Class. And somehow at the end of this, we get AJ Francis getting a world title match at Final Resolution.
Oh, good.
Oh, swell. You want to know my favorite?
It can't all be perfect.
It can't all be perfect. You want to know what my favorite part of this whole segment is, though? As everyone's leaving, the camera stays on Nick Nemeth, and he's talking about Santino's badge, and he goes, "I don't think that badge is real."
Oh, I bet you it opens something. I bet you next time it will open something.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Oh no, it's like a police badge.
Oh wow.
So he's like, I don't think that's a real badge.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We get we get the Good Hands and versus Sami Callihan and PCO. The match is good. It's a bit slower than either one of us would like. It's not a bad match though. It's what you kind of expect from PCO and Sami Callihan match, and it appears that PCO and Sammy are going to be working as a team together for the foreseeable future. They got the crowd into it. They did all the things you could ask them to do. I kind of wish Sami Callihan was moving a little quicker than, because he used to put on really, really great matches, and I haven't seen him work as much lately. Most of the stuff he's been doing for TNA has been on like pre-shows and things like that, and it's unfortunately, I think he is turning the corner to the point where he might not be wrestling nearly as much anymore, just because he's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, last time I saw him really do normal matches, he had a couple matches with Jonathan Gresham.
When he was doing the mask thing, right? When
it was like at the end of that, it was like weird when he was he hadn't given up the mask, but they were kind of moving away from the ink stuff, which I wish they would have kept going with, but whatever.
I'd like them to revisit the mask and the ink and stuff like that. Like it'd be like all of a sudden, like something happens to him and he switches into it all schizophrenically or something like that. The next match on this card is the Hardy Boys versus the System, consisting of Eddie Edwards, Edward Edwards, if you will, and the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. I love that the tag team title matches get the taglines, they're called, and it's almost like a tale of the tape for specifically tag team matches. It's a really nice touch that I think TNA does. And again, it's one of those things that them doing it makes sense. If this is an athletic competition, you should know the history of these guys or or how they measure up with each other. This is again another one of the shows that they did in North Carolina. So this is a Hardy homecoming. And Eddie Edwards has a lot of history with the Hardys. They go all the way back about a decade ago, where the Hardys were in TNA the first time and they were feuding with the Wolves. And that was some of those fans, Legion. We talk about TNA a lot. If you go back and watch that stuff, because that ended up leading to us getting the Wolves versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys, which all of it was so good. It was so good, and that was still Jeff and Matt could definitely still go hard back then. This current Hardy run, I'm gonna say it, and it might be a hot take, or an unpopular opinion at least, but I think this run is going to last until the WWE inducts them into the Hall of Fame.
It might. This is just a big old nostalgia bomb. Like, I actually wouldn't be surprised if they drop these titles relatively soon, but like, we're still in the title picture. Like this run, if you mean it, like constantly be fighting for or defending the tag team titles, I'm in. If you think it's just going to be they're going to retain the titles until, I don't know if I buy that. TNA doesn't play that game all that often. And I think that it'd be better to see them lose and win back, so you have them rooting for. I think the Hardys play the underdog really well. There's rare instances when they're just like the odds-on favorite, even though that they've always been really good workers and like really over. So, but I always feel like you need like the system to win a match like this one, which obviously they didn't. But win a match like this in order to put them in their place so they can come back and challenge them and take them down the next time, particularly if there's a ladder involved.
So the Hardys hit a move in this that I had not seen them do, and they called it the plot twist instead of the twist of fate. And basically, It's Jeff hitting the twist of fate, and the guy taking the move doing like the Rock or Razor Ramon style, Scott Hall style stunner bump. And when he jumps backwards, Matt hits him with a regular neck breaker. And I was like, that's cool. I like that. I like that they're still coming up with some innovative stuff. The Hardys end up retaining during this match due to a disqualification when Alicia hits them both with kendo sticks, and the match kind of gets thrown out. And this causes Santino to come out and make a match between Edward Edwards and
John Cena.
And Brian Myers versus the Hard Boys in a rematch at Final Resolution.
Nice.
That's
a match I could see the Hardys losing.
I think I could see the system getting the titles back during this, and it's the last show of 2024 for them. I could see them really. I could see that being the end of this title run at least.
And then they debut on Raw.
Then
on the 6th.
I could actually see that in the sense that, like, hey, this is us announcing who our first inductee for the WWE Hall of Fame is.
100%. And there should be a ton of eyeballs on that. They are. And never mind. There should be a lot of eyeballs on that, and there's going to be I think the Netflix WWE match is going to be bloated with, like, I don't call it gotcha moments, but like with like surprise, and to a point in time where the surprises don't feel special, because like Cena's going to open the show, and then the Hardys are going to show up, and then The Rock is going to show up, and then Bronson Reed's going to wrestle, and everyone's going to be like, oh, I didn't think he was going to be back forever. Like, that's the kind of show I'm pacing out, and it's I could see it also going like 3 hours and 40 minutes, because like, who cares? We don't have time. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, we're on Netflix. Who cares?
Yep.
Next match on this is another good one. Tasha Steelz versus Jordynne Grace. This is pretty much a number one contenders match for the Knockouts world title. Both of these ladies are very good. During the match, Rosemary comes out to kind of stalk the contest. There's a point where Tasha has Jordynne set up for a superplex, and she slips off the rope. Like, you can see there's just not enough room, because Jordynne Grace is a juggernaut. She's swole, as the kids say. And I think Tasha just couldn't get around the right way and like lost her footing a little bit. And instead of like climbing back up to the ropes to like, oh, I missed this move, I gotta hit it again. She hit her with like a standing snap suplex off the ropes instead to cover it up. And I was like, that's really nice. I like that. I like that you were able to cover this up better than how people would have normally covered it up.
You know, it's funny because like you would think that more people would do like a slingshot belly to back, or yeah, where you just kind of pick them up, drop them, and dump them over.
Who does
I
that?
like a good slingshot move, and I feel like it's just not done nearly enough, other than just like hanging them on the clothesline kind of thing.
I think Natalya hits a slingshot belly to back.
Is that?
Or she might not hit a slingshot belly to back, but I think she does the slingshot and then drops them like just on the mat, like almost like an atomic drop.
Mm-hmm.
But she does it.
Just feels like you could use more. Like they're just right there. Use them to your advantage.
One thing I got to give this match credit for, because I've been complaining about it for weeks now, and not so much on this show because unfortunately WWE doesn't wrestle that much, is that I miss seeing a good old fashioned like bump and feed fire up from a babyface, and I got it here. Like it was just Tasha feeding it up and getting scoop slammed, and then taking the bump, and then getting up and taking another scoop slam because Jordan's a monster. And like it doesn't necessarily need to be the clothesline into the back elbow into whatever.
She Hulk up? Is that?
Yeah, she did not Hulk up. But Tasha Steelz ends up getting the win on this.
Yeah.
Which is nice. This sets Tasha up for a match against Masha Slamovich at Final Resolution. Alicia does come out for this again. I like how Tasha wins this. This is perfect for you, Showtime. Tasha wins this because Alicia gets on the apron, distracts Jordan, and Tasha Steelz does a backslide, and not only hits the backslide, but then puts the feet on the ropes for a backslide. I was like, nice. That works. That actually makes sense because you are pushing more pressure down then. Again, TNA makes sense, guys. Way to go.
And a big win by the Ella guy. Ella guy? Did we land on Ella guy?
No, this wasn't the Ella guy.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up those names. I always mix up Alicia Edwards with them. Never mind. Yeah. Don't mind me. I suck at names.
After the match, we get some shenanigans between Alicia, Masha, Jordan, and Tasha, and they kind of drive them off. This also leads to us getting Rosemary versus Jordan Grace at Final Resolution, which I think that'll be a very good match.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the main event of the evening, an 8-man tag team match between Frankie Kazarian, the Northern Armory, consisting of Josh Alexander, Judas Icarus, and Travis Williams, versus Jonathan Gresham, Eric Young, Steve Macklin, and Mike Santana, with Say His Name and He Appears on commentary. Joe Hendry's on commentary. And
did they say his name first?
No, he came out first, unfortunately. But I love some of the jokes that get made from Joe Hendry to Frankie Kazarian, or about Frankie Kazarian. Like, it's like, of course he's here. It's terrible. I know that we are moving towards either Joe Hendry or Mike Santana getting this TNA World title soon. But man, would I love to see Steve Macklin get that push realistically. I love the work he's doing.
Or Frankie. Like, one of the two of them would be nice. I feel like Macklin might be one that dethrones those other two guys, but I would love to see Frankie get his hands on it to then fight Santana or Hendry, given that Nemeth is technically a face right now.
Let's see. I think Santana hit a really cool variation of a DVD during this match too. I just, like I said, this match was really good. I can't speak well enough about these guys. Like, they're all so good, and for an 4-on-4 match and it being slightly overbooked because it's a 4-on-4 match, they do a very good job of keeping the fans involved, of not letting it become a schmoz and just a cluster. They do a lot of really cool stuff with it. Jonathan Gresham keeps just impressing me. The end of the match, Kazarian wins. He hits Gresham with the Kazarian hits Gresham with the cup, and the heels that are, I believe it's Josh Alexander's in the ring with him and covers him. And they do a good enough job of hitting him with the cup when the ref isn't looking. So good job for you guys.
Yeah.
Again,
didn't have to just ignore it and pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah. Hey, TNA, thank you for, doing the job that we keep thinking that you should be doing and constantly producing a really good wrestling program.
Yeah, my one complaint about this match, this card at least, is having a 5-way match and then a 8-man tag. It's just a lot of bodies in the ring for one show. That's just a normal Impact. That's just a small booking, like nuance or whatever, the annoyance for me. That it just felt a little overbooked, like you said.
Yeah, it like I said, it's a bit too much, but it's still, like I said, most of their stuff still made sense.
Yeah.
With that said, let's move on to WWE, and we have Friday Night SmackDown.
Friday Night SmackDown.
This was cool because while they were showing everybody walking in and they force they force a couple of the guys to show them walking in and going through a metal detector. I'm not going to be the woke dude here, but it's weird, the guys that are going through the metal detector. It's the same guy that sits by himself in Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving, just so you know. So Apollo Crews and the Bloodline are all going through, and Solo and the crew kind of cut past everybody. Apollo says something, and then the New Bloodline basically just decimates Apollo Crews and the security guards that are around there, and then just walks off. And then we get a real opening to the show, which is going to be an in-ring Cody promo. During the promo, before anything really happens, American Made comes out to interrupt, and Chad Gable announces officially that there is a transfer window opening between all three brands of WWE. So all the GMs are getting together and talking about moving pieces, transferring around. I think this is how we get champions on on new brands now. Specifically, I think this is how we get Cody on Raw. Let's face it, this is what they should be doing. Cody needs to be on Raw.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Roman and Cody both go to Raw. It's what Netflix wants, and they're paying a butt ton of money for all the stuff that they're doing. This is a no-brainer for me on that. Either like just make the champions float between brands and let them do whatever they want, or this is them going to Raw, and I think it's going to hurt SmackDown in the long run, but it'll be fine if they can figure it out.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I mean, we'll still have Gunther on SmackDown in this case, although this feels very much like Cena being on Raw and the old world heavyweight title being on SmackDown at this point.
Well, what if Gunther loses to Finn and Finn goes over?
That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, because like Finn going over there as champion changes the entire dynamic of the show. Where I feel like Gunther going over there doesn't change the dynamic.
So I don't want to bury the lead too much, but there is more going on with that even. At the end of this, I really like this promo. I like that Cody brings up Chad and his worst gimmicks. Yeah. Talks about Chad Gable being Shorty G, talks about him being Stardust. and sets up a match between Cody Rhodes and Chad Gable later, which I see no way that is not a fun match to watch.
So Cody admitted that he was Stardust?
I guess, you know what that means? R-Truth has a win on him.
Yeah. I mean, like, because he had never admitted that he was Stardust. I can't believe, I never knew he was Stardust.
What?
How
Crazy.
could they be the same person?
I mean, one has a gold face.
And a star.
And dark hair.
Who?
Man. Oh, man, next thing you're going to tell me about stuff with El Generico.
Don't say anything. Don't you dare sully that man's name with what you may or may not say next.
Hey, El Generico was a face.
He was a true
face.
And a saint.
We get a little bit of backstage with Bianca, Naomi, Chelsea, and Piper. Everybody's kind of hurt from the War Games. Naomi goes out to have her match. Bianca basically accuses Piper of taking out Jade. And then Chelsea and Piper beat up Bianca.
There's a term from our childhood that was, whoever smelt it, dealt it. And that's really feeling an awful lot like Bianca right now. Like, she's so revving on, the minute I find out who it was, it's on the spot. Yeah, it was you.
It was you. Or at the very least, it's going to be your new tag team partner, Naomi.
Yeah, I'm not walking away from Naomi being the person, but like, Bianca's involved, and she's pointing too many fingers and over revving so hard about whoever hurt Jade for it not to be her involved, her adjacent.
Our next match, or our first match on the card, is Tiffany Stratton versus Elektra Lopez versus Naomi in a women's U.S. title qualifier match. Elektra Lopez is the only one involved in this match that was not in War Games. Yep. So she's the only one who's coming in kind of 100%. My little bit of, I guess, critique, I don't want to go down too big of a rabbit hole with them, is they start off the match and they try to do some kind of more basic wrestling, but they need to start being snugger with their shots. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that you need to stiff somebody, but even like they hit like a shoulder tackle and it looked just soft, like SAWFT soft. Like, and I felt bad saying it because the shoulder tackle came from Tiffy, and I love her, but I'll call you out on what I need to call you out on. Also, Naomi needs to stop doing those high kicks. They look terrible. They look terrible every time. They're 9 million feet away from the person's head. People are selling things that aren't there now. I will say this. This was in Minneapolis. The crowd loves Tiffy. She's the hometown girl. And we get Tiffany Stratton going over with the prettiest moonsault ever.
Sure.
I will say this, since I did bash on her a little bit, I'm going to give her flowers on this one. Tiffany Stratton does one thing that I truly, truly appreciate any wrestler that does this. During the match, some of her gear gets kind of out of place, and she doesn't fix it. And I like that, because if you were in a fight, you wouldn't take time out to, like, move your knee pad cover. Yeah, like, you wouldn't pull your gauntlet back up on your wrist or anything like that. And she doesn't. Like, you can see there's, like, her knee pad cover comes down and, like, different stuff, like, happens. There's a point where, like, the lettering that she had on her shirt had actually, like, pulled off. And instead of, like, even taking the time to pull it the rest of the way off, she just did her moves and like did the stuff that she should be doing. So Tiffany, golf clap, good job. I'm proud
That's
of
how
you.
she won.
That
Stay
is how she won.
focused on the prize.
Yeah. Now, Showtime. I think I don't think we asked you on air, but does Tiffany win this? Does she win the U.S. title?
I don't know. There's a few things here. I don't think so. Because I still am in the camp that Chelsea Green ends up being the champion. I think she just deserves it, man. I'm pumped. I'm just rooting for Chelsea so hard in this situation. I think that the finals, we'll get to it a little bit later. Sorry, I don't want to spoil things later, but I think the finals ends up being Chelsea, or I guess it would have to be Chelsea versus
realistically on that side,
right? Because I think that Chelsea's going to be the winner of the three-way that we'll talk about when we get to Raw. And
Raw is the IC title. Different.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, why do I keep thinking these blend? So yeah, I think that Stratton ends up losing somewhere along the lines.
Right now, the final four are Chelsea Green, Bailey, Mishin, and Tiffany Stratton. On one side, we've got Chelsea versus Bailey, and on the other side, we've got Mishin versus Tiffany.
Yeah, you're gonna have Chelsea beat Bailey in a nefarious way.
And I could see Candice messing up Tiffany's chance to beat Mishin.
The only way I don't see Chelsea walking away, or at least the only way I'll be happy with it, is if she beats Tiffany, or maybe Tiffany gets herself DQ'd, and then she cashes it in immediately afterwards. Like, if you come down to the ring, start the ring, and then just knock Chelsea Green out with the briefcase, and then get thrown out, and then cash in the briefcase immediately, she can go on and say that she was the first ever, because she did all that shit on purpose. That could be fun, though I don't love cashing in the title
on a secondary belt.
On a secondary belt, like, unless you were like you were starting like a dynasty kind of tag team, I'd be down with that, because it really is still the top title in that division. Whereas in these IC or US titles are secondary titles in the singles division.
I can see that.
So that's my 2 cents on that. I think Chelsea wins.
Backstage, we're supposed to have a tag team title match between the Street Profits and the Motor City Machine Guns. And the Street Profits get attacked. You don't say. And Nick Aldis goes to talk to the Machine Guns about it, says, I don't think that we're going to be able to do this match. And Johnny Gargano magically steps up. And now he was hanging out
with his boys.
I mean, yeah, and now we get DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the tag team titles tonight.
An honorable fight.
A very honorable fight. The next match is after she got a little bit of a beatdown. We get Bianca Belair versus Piper Niven. This match has a lot of potential. I like Piper Niven a lot. I really wish someone would talk to Bianca Belair about her punches in the corner. They are looking a little.
I feel like something had to have happened recently where someone got punched hard, and they are all trying to pull back so they don't hurt anybody. Because
she's like punching behind them, though, man. Like
I get it. Just being awkward and overcautious and all that good stuff.
Well, and speaking on my part, I never really liked the 10 punches in the corner anyway. I understand that it's a super babyface move to do. But if you're in the corner where you're supposed to be getting a 5 count and you literally have the crowd counting to 10 while you're doing something, shouldn't you be disqualified?
Yes.
I just want to point that out. That's it's like double twisting the arm on the arm bar. Like if you really double twisted an arm, your shoulder would be out of the socket.
And it's okay to double twist the arm and have the guy flip, because
Yes,
then
because that's him.
You've run out of room.
Exactly. I really like Bianca. I do, but I don't know it. I feel like she's gonna have to be like. I know we're talking about that she's probably the one that attacked Jade, but I almost feel like she's gonna have to be a babyface forever, because I don't know if she can. If it seems like she doesn't work well on the fly, if that makes sense. Like some of the stuff that I see where things seem out of place, she looks like she still got to do it the way that, which again, this is a WWE thing. So it's, they learn the WWE way, and sometimes that working it on the fly thing doesn't always work into your system. So I saw it here. Also, she does a spear, which I'm going to go back to my earlier theory on this. Everyone needs to stop doing the spear.
It's just a normal move now. But Steven,
it's a super
go back to that point real quick. She was a heel in NXT, right?
She was. But again, very, very developmental and kind of. Here's been my main knock on stuff with Bianca, just in general. She doesn't necessarily have bad matches, but her matches are moves. It's just moves a lot of times. It's whereas, so like WrestleMania 39, let's say, where on one brand we had Rhea versus Charlotte, and it was a classic, and they did a lot of storytelling. Even though they did a lot of cool moves, there was a lot of storytelling involved in that match. And then on the other side, we had Asuka versus Bianca. And the match very much felt like they were just, okay, like they did cool stuff, but okay, now it's Bianca's turn to do something cool. Okay, now it's Asuka's turn to do something cool. And that's where we're sitting, where I feel like that's the difference between a match that tells a story and a match that just does cool stuff.
Sure.
And I think that's where even Bianca in NXT, when she was a heel, that's what she was doing a lot of times, is she was just doing cool stuff. So and again, I could be wrong. Maybe, I don't know. It's just something just feels off in the stuff that she's been doing lately. And I want her to do better. I'm not disappointed yet. I just want her to be better than what she's doing right now.
I'm not
there yet.
I'm just disappointed. Everyone knows that's worse.
It's way worse. That's the thing. I'm not disappointed yet. The crowd is super into this match. So cool. Again, if you get the crowd into it, I'll pull back some of my critique. Bianca wins with a really cool variation of the KOD, where she literally KODs Piper onto Chelsea,
cool,
and then pins Piper. And then after the match, Byron Saxton actually clears Piper Niven of attacking Jade. Says that during the match that Piper is being accused of, she was standing at Gorilla with Byron the whole time, so she could not have done it. Which
impossible.
Good for you, Byron Saxton, standing up for the little guy. Shinsuke Nakamura, just before the break, we get a Shinsuke vignette, which all of these vignettes have been really cool. I love the way that they're doing this. I like the speaking in Japanese. I like the animation that goes along with it. I like that it's kind of like a live action anime at the same time. Like, he's there, but then they draw him on top of himself. And I like some of this stuff. It's cool what they're doing. Which leads directly to Shinsuke coming out to what we assume is going to be a promo in the ring. LA Knight interrupts. Yeah. Calling for his rematch. Says the only thing that Shinsuke has done to his face is blow the mist at him. So he puts his sunglasses on, says, I got my mist blockers on. Which I did like that.
Can't touch me.
I would like to take a look at the U.S. title to see if it still has the LA Knight symbols on the strap, because if that's the case, I feel like these guys are going to trade the U.S. title back and forth, which I'm also okay with this. I think that would actually do more for this than if LA Knight just goes on another like 4-month run.
Mm-hmm.
Andrade actually comes out and says that he's owed a rematch from Shinsuke too because of the match just before Survivor Series. And then during all of this, the Bloodline comes out and just decimates Andrade and LA Knight. As it looks like they're about to go after Shinsuke, he starts teasing the mist. So they let him just leave. Like, you don't want to mess with the weird guy. I get it.
Sure.
Like don't mess with the crazy guy. Let him be crazy over there.
Let him do his thing.
And then Solo takes it upon himself to hit the spike on Andrade and LA Knight. It kind of feels like post Survivor Series, this is gonna, especially with Tongaloa being injured right now and Bronson Reed also being injured, because they basically say that they're down 2 guys right now in the Bloodline, which means I think that Bronson Reed was going to be on whatever show the Bloodline was going to be on, and he was going to be an actual standing member of this version of the Bloodline. And I feel like now that they're down to 3, they need to treat them like they're a pack of dogs, which is what they're doing. And they're going to start just taking out everyone. Just everyone. Kevin Owens does his car promo again and says he's not going inside. It doesn't matter if they have everything set up for him. He keeps getting turned away at buildings anyway. And then if Michael Cole wants his interview, he has to come out to the car with him.
Who is Michael Cole think he is, going in there and thinking he can put together a unbiased promo? He fanboys out every single time. And when he says, he starts off being like, I was going to do an unbiased promo with you, but you know this is all you that's doing this. It's like, so you decided to throw that concept away just because he makes you do it in a car, Michael?
Yeah, way to go. Way to be a professional.
This feels very propaganda-led, that you immediately got into the car and pointed fingers at poor Kevin Owens here for speaking the truth, a truth that the establishment does not want people to know.
I love
it's malarkey.
It is malarkey, and I love a lot of things about this segment in general. I like that they do bring up Sami Zayn during this segment, and Kevin says, "I'll deal with Sami when we need to cross that bridge."
I think he's already dealing with Sami.
I think
there's
so.
Someone else who's doing it.
I also absolutely love Michael Cole says, I think you need to take a hard look at yourself in the mirror. And Kevin looks at himself in the rearview mirror and says, what? All I see is a handsome man. That's right.
Man looking back at me. That's
handsome
right,
man,
yeah.
That's right. And he says it like that. And I'm not going to lie, I popped big for that line. Like, I was like, good for you, man. And then he kicks Michael Cole out of his car and he calls him back just to roll up.
Michael. That reminds me of when we were in high school or in college or whatever it was. And I used to be like, oh, and hey, Steve, and hang up on you.
Yep, just like that. Actually, this segment was gold, though. This is gold. Kevin Owens is doing great work. Again, I love this stuff. He's right. Again, look, I'm usually the perpetual babyface in this group, and I'm telling you, Kevin Owens is right.
Yeah. I cannot wait until, like, honestly, I just need to go and manage them so they can all be right. Like the Wright brothers, be perfect.
Love it.
Because he and Drew McIntyre are saying the same thing and targeting different people.
Just in their own words.
It's only a matter of time before Seth Rollins is on the same page as them. Like, he's already doing it. He has eyes locked on Punk, who is still kind of circulating around the bloodline. It's everyone that's, like, super against Roman. And I think that's what we're leading towards, is this little faction. I think that's going to get messy. I think you're going to see Rollins kind of double cross Cody. Like all that stuff he did, put him on the shelf for a decent amount of time, made him lose his world title.
Took the spear for him, took the bullet.
Yeah, and then he's gonna come back a couple months later and team with the monster, the one that made everyone's life a living hell for a year and a half, 2 years. Cody's for a year and a half and 2 years.
Everyone else's for
everybody
almost
else's
5
for
years.
Freaking forever as he ran roughshod over everybody. It's what, like Kevin says, he tried to end his career time after time, and he's the asshole. Come on now.
I get it. Listen, I have said it multiple times on this show. Cody Rhodes is not a babyface.
Nope. And there's a great example of that in the beginning of Raw.
Of Raw, yeah.
We'll get to.
Cody Rhodes is a politician.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep saying it like that. And the fact of the matter is he politicked to be with Roman again.
Mm-hmm.
But let us get back on track for SmackDown real quick. We get this tag team title match. And the match actually starts off with some real nice wrestling between and Ciampa is showing his mean streak. I love it. We get nice teamwork from the Motor City Machine Guns, like always. This is honestly the best tag division match, actual full tag division match that we've seen on WWE in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean, oh, well, Cody and Roman tagged up and that was big. No, I mean an actual match in the tag team division. This was the best one that we've seen in a while. And it looks like we're about to get the DIY implosion. And just as the Motor City Machine Guns are about to win, Gargano slips out and low blows him. Who's been calling this? Oh, we've been calling this. Surprise! It's not that big of a surprise. He was a jerk in NXT. He's a jerk now. He's just a jerk on a bigger show now.
Yeah.
So low blow Sabin, super kicks Shelly. They hit their finisher on Sabin, and DIY win the tag team titles for the second time. All types of smiles there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. And finally, we get our main event of the evening. Chad Gable versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And, man, I was saying this to you before Showtime. I would love to see Chad Gable get a little bit more of a serious gimmick. Like if they're going to keep comparing him to Kurt Angle, let's just give him the wrestling machine gimmick and actually put him in real world title contention.
100%. And they're making the Creeds be a little goofy. Like that whole group is feeling a little goofy at this moment in
time. They do a lot of cool stuff in this match, just in general. I can't even say all the cool stuff, but during the match, first of all, Chad dominates most of this match. Which, yeah, he's an Olympic wrestler.
Exactly.
He should. And don't get me wrong, Cody is also a state champion amateur wrestler. But that's like saying, hey, like, you were pretty good against, hey, you're pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
There's miles. As the kids say, there's levels to this. And Chad pulling off Cody's boot at one point to do the ankle lock. Yes. Hell yes. All the yes.
Yes. Yes.
Cody wins with a crossroads after Chad misses the moonsault. It's a really... I like the ending, too. Again, this match was really good. This was a fun match, just like I thought it would be. And then, while Cody is celebrating, Kevin Owens attacks him after the match. Again, he's a flawed hero. He's not perfect.
Right. He's right.
He's still right. This just might not be the right path to go about getting his way. But at the same time, he's not wrong about what he's saying.
But if you run out of opportunities to do, like, what else is he going to do? This is wrestling, first of all. Let's be real. But no one's listening to him. It's time that he takes matters into his own hand. And the only way he's going to get anyone to pay any attention or listen to him is if he messes up their perfect little machine.
Yeah. Let's beat up.
Yeah.
Let's beat
Justified.
lawyered.
Come on now.
Just beat up Stardust. All right, let's move on to the A show, Raw. And we start off the show with Gunther in ring. And of course, it's immediately interrupted by Finn Balor and the Judgment Day. And Gunther has one of the best lines that I've heard anyone hit Finn with. And that's Gunther saying he used to respect him. He used to be he used to love his work and the amount of passion he had, and then he traded in all of his dignity for everything that he's doing with the Judgment Day right now. And then Gunther says 8 years ago, Finn was the best in the world for one night. And that's all you've been the best in the world for, that one night. And then he continues by saying he's the best. He's going to be the best in the world for thousands of days to come. And I kind of believe him because he is that damn good.
Yeah. He is, and I do believe him, but I really think they're building Finn up for something big here. And not that we're doing predictions for this, I could really see Finn walking away the champion.
Now, here's the thing: is we get the Judgment Day attacking Gunther, and Damian Priest comes out to take out the Judgment Day. Gunther attacks Priest during this because he doesn't want or need anyone's help, obviously. And then Finn takes out Gunther, and the entirety of the Judgment Day takes out Priest. Before they even announce it, my first thought is, are they going to turn the Saturday night's main event into a three-way? By the way,
yes,
they do.
They did.
But the end of this segment is both of the most recent World Heavyweight Champions are left laying by the Judgment Day. Gunther and Priest are left there. So here's the question. Is this them foreshadowing Finn maybe winning it? Does Priest maybe take out Gunther and Finn takes advantage of this? Does all of this stuff that all the trash he's been talking about Dom, is that really just a front so that Dom can come in and really trip somebody up and get Finn the belt?
Yeah, I really don't see Priest winning here. So it's a Gunther or
Finn situation.
Or Finn win. And like I said, I could really see Finn winning this one.
Next, we get our first match on this card, and that's the Final Testament versus the Wyatts. The Wyatt Six, I'm sorry. I like Uncle Howdy talking to the chair, talking to the rocking chair, like Bray's actually there. Mm-hmm. It's a really physical match. We've spoken very highly of Karrion Kross during this. And Paul Ellering makes his return, throws powder in the eyes of Bo Dallas, and Karrion Kross hits the final prayer. Please get Karrion Kross out of this and have him war with Braun Breaker for the IC title for me.
Yeah. So I told you this earlier. I'm going to start calling Karrion Kross the Puppet Master. And it comes off really well recently. He has his fingers in every bit of this card, this show. If you kind of look back between corrupting Drew McIntyre, corrupting the New Day, corrupting the Miz, and there's more examples of it. But he has really done a great job of being in that earworm, corrupting, and having that kind of Satan feel to him of temptation.
He's the devil's advocate.
Yeah, and this puppet master, just dance for me, puppets, dance, because they are all dancing for Karrion Kross.
They absolutely are. Did you see that via his Twitter X, whatever we want to call it, he apologized to Kofi?
Oh, did he? I didn't see that.
He did. So during this, he goes, it takes a big man to look inward and realize when he's done something wrong. And I got you all wrong, Kofi Kingston. Congratulations on your newfound resiliency. And I think, or like something along those lines. And you should, and like, way to go for you and Woods, basically.
Yeah.
Like he basically says I was wrong. And I'm like, that's even better. Like that's also great.
I'm gonna have to find that, but I'll do that later while we're not on the show. But
I
can do it right now.
I will post a screenshot of it for us as well in a second. But directly from there, we get Dakota Kai and Liv Morgan. These two set a really nice pace for the. I'm sorry. Just before that, we actually get the CM Punk sit down with Jackie Redmond, which I know Punk loves to talk to Jackie Redmond because she's the hockey chick. My favorite thing about this is Punk in the beginning saying, "If we talk about the Blackhawks, we're going to be fighting."
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the entire segment is Punk saying how Rollins is entitled and he's living in Punk's shadow. Everything that everything that Rollins has done, CM Punk pretty much did first, and he did it better. There was talk. They talked about Punk training Rollins, all of this stuff, and this will obviously get answered later because there's no way that Seth freaking Rollins is not going to answer this. But after that, we then get the Dakota Kai versus Liv Morgan match. And these two ladies set a really nice pace for this. During the match, the Pure Fusion Collective comes out just to distract Dakota. Dakota Kai during this match hits a really cool counter for the Oblivion. And all around, I was really happy with this match until the very end. It gets a little slow and a little sloppy. Liv comes out with the win. And Pure Fusion Collection jumps Dakota Kai. Damage Control comes out. And during this, Liv runs back in and nails Io Sky with an Oblivion out of nowhere.
Yep.
From that, we get your boy, Drew McIntyre, having a segment.
Wait, before you move on, that feels like go home math to me of Io walking away with the title on Saturday.
I think it could be. I think it might be a situation where Rhea causes Io to get the title, because we keep saying it. Liv and Rhea don't need the title to be involved in this.
Yes.
They just need to have Dom there. Because he's the most handsome man on the planet. They keep saying it.
He sure is.
Luscious hair. So moving on to your buddy here, Mr. Drew McIntyre, who is essentially saying all the same things that Kevin Owens is saying.
Correct.
But in his own words, obviously. And this is hitting awesome. This is perfect. Everything that he did here. Drew McIntyre is on the year of his life right now, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. They've already said that like the feud of the year is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. I think they've already handed that to him before the year has officially come to a close. I think his storyline has been probably the best this year. It really has. Like going from the ups and downs, being screwed out of everything. He in this promo where he says that this should have been the career year for me. Like he should have been champion the whole year based on CM Punk continuously screwing him out of those titles. So I think that this is awesome. I like what they're doing with him right now is so good. Everything he's saying here, like targeting Sami Zayn, like I feel like Kevin Owens on SmackDown could have said, "I've already taken care of that," alluding to Drew McIntyre coming at him here, because because they're fighting the same fight. And it's only a matter of time between the two of these are tagging together. And I cannot wait to see them in a tag match together, just knocking bitches around. Because that's what they're going to do. You're going to have Jimmy Uso. I'm sorry. You're going to have Jey Uso and Sammy versus Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. And I'm all for that match.
It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, it's going to be
good
so
fight.
much fun. It's going to be so tense. They're all going to be mad. It's going to be fun.
And to get into what you were talking about during SmackDown, more politician Cody, because they make sure to have Cody on at the top of the 9 o'clock hour.
Sure.
There he is. He's not even on this show, but there he is, holding his belt, telling the New Day that they're disappointments.
How dare you, Cody? How dare you stick your nose in business that doesn't belong to you? Like, coming in here,
like Sammy.
It sure does. Well, no, he's just being a judgmental prick here. Like, you have no business with the New Day. Just because you and Woods went to high school together doesn't mean that you have any right to judge him in this situation. It's just, I don't think they went to the same school, but they went to high school in similar.
They wrestled in the state championships.
Yeah,
against each other.
They wrestled against each other, but they didn't go to the same high school. I didn't want to say.
No, but they're both Georgia boys. They're both from Atlanta.
Sure,
Atlanta area.
You have nothing to do with any of this. And in all honesty, I'll get to my thoughts on the New Day a little bit later in this card when we get to their segment.
Yeah,
but Malarkey again. Malarkey is the theme of this. How dare you, Cody?
And the real start of the 9 o'clock hour, we get an in-ring promo with Seth Rollins. Obviously, Seth is going to respond to CM Punk. You know what? Seth, I'm going to say it this way. Seth Rollins is the babyface and has been since well before WrestleMania when none of us trusted him.
Mm-hmm. I didn't trust him. He was a bad guy, I thought.
And he's also the only one to stick to his guns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't go to fight the bloodline and then, oh, well, this new bloodline might be worse, so we should fight them too. No, let Roman and his family fight this out.
It really harkens back to the feud building between McIntyre and Rollins for Mania. If you think back of all that stuff that went down between them, they were very, very much friends. Like, it was almost like, I'm disappointed that you're doing this and not paying attention to me. Why would you stick your nose in that business that we have no business in anymore? We've all fought our fights there. We all did our things. And this is just my long way of working around. I think that this, like, people call it the new Shield. I don't want to call it the new Shield because that's not what it is.
The sword.
Maybe it is the sword.
Sword.
But like, I really do see Rollins double crossing Cody because he was double crossed. All of that stuff he sacrificed for Cody. And Cody's going to turn his back and just go team with Roman at the first chance. At his first chance of doing that.
Sure.
And then you add CM Punk to the bloodline. It sucks Rollins right into that.
So we get Sammy coming out to interrupt this promo. And Sammy actually apologizes. He's still a heel, but he apologizes.
Yeah.
All around, I like how Wade Barrett says, well, as far as apologies goes, that was like a 3 out of a 10. But I guess it's water under the bridge for now. He tells Rollins at one point that he sounds like Drew McIntyre, though.
Surprise. And we just said that Drew McIntyre sounds like Kevin Owens.
Exactly. They say they're good, and then Sammy and Drew still have business that they need to handle. Sammy says, I'm not going to wait. We're going to handle the business at Saturday night's main event. And as Sammy's walking out, Drew lays him out again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good.
Get him. He deserves it.
Like you said, biggest babyface versus the biggest heel.
That's exactly right. I'm glad that you're on my side now. It's better when we're on the same team.
This time, we're we're on the same side this time.
With Drew, I feel like you've been on the same side the whole time.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. It's hard it's hard when they're just so right and that everyone else seems like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Well, I mean, even during the Rollins thing, his whole thing was just, you're ignoring me.
Yes.
And you're gonna rob me of my WrestleMania moment. Like, I'm
Correct.
going to beat you, and no one's gonna care. But you want to know what? I also don't care because I earned this.
Yes. And he did.
He did earn it. All right, let's get on to some actual wrestling. And
was
we
there wrestling
get
on this card?
There is wrestling on this card. We had one match before all of this, and then we get
two of them. We
get 3 whole matches on this.
On this episode of Raw.
Yes. We get the women's 3-way match for the women's intercontinental championship qualifier between Lyra Valkyria, Zelina Vega, and Ivy Nile.
And a well manicured match? Is that the way I can call it this time around?
Yeah, Ivy looks good during this match. Seems like Zelina may be jamoking in the beginning way too much. Here's my question for you, Showtime. I know that both of them are mid-card titles. I get it. It's the IC title and the US title are both technically the mid-card titles. Is it, and it might just be the difference between the way the women's divisions are set up between Raw and SmackDown, but the US title tournament seems like it's got much bigger stars going into it, right? Like, I'm not just...
It does.
Like, it absolutely does. Like we have former world champions in the US title tournament in the US title tournament. And in the IC title tournament, it's like, well, let's just throw some people in there.
That's exactly what's happening here. Some of these people could still be in these matches, but there is some like headline level talent that's not in this for some reason, and I don't know why. Like, if you're gonna have Tiffany Stratton in one, how do you not have Rhea in this
the
right
other
now?
one?
Like, why not? And why? Like, that's the equivalent of Bayley, right?
I would think so.
Like, why
honestly,
wouldn't you have Raquel Rodriguez?
She's the only one that's in there that ranks in there. Like, you got Raquel in one of the matches, but like, that's it. That's really
like,
the only.
Is she gonna be the one that wins this? Like, is that?
I wouldn't mind that if like that's how you're gonna strengthen up the Judgment Day, or at least her and Liv's team is like one will have the world title and one will have the IC title. That'd be cool. Lyra Valkyria wins this and advances.
I think she wins the IC title though. By the
way. I could definitely see her winning the IC title. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to bash the wrestling in this. I'm not going to bash the storyline. I'm not going to bash even the booking of this. I'm gonna attack the referee on this one a little bit. So the referee that's working this match, and I know she's an experienced ref, she does a lot of stuff for them, needed to like start jumping on some of these pinning combinations a little bit quicker. They just don't, like, she just doesn't count pin, like she doesn't get down for the pin quick enough. And I realize that none of them are the finish, but if you're not taking each and every pin seriously, it actually hurts the finish because it hurts the suspense that you're building with each pinning predicament that you put in. So all around, match was not bad. It's predictable because I just assumed Lyra was going to win this.
Yeah.
And the next thing is what you get to go off on a little bit here, Showtime. We get the artist formerly known as The New Day. We get Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods coming out. No music. Maybe we should have seen that Kofi was going a little darker the moment he started wearing the Majin necklace like Dragon Ball Z.
Maybe.
They're both getting booed out of the damn building.
They have Dom heat.
I literally have that written here, is they're getting Dom heat.
Dom heat. This is big. And you know what? I don't understand why. Once again, they're right. Now, they may have went a little too hard on Big E, But everything they said was right. They've been falling apart for months. Like all of the stuff that's been going on around them, Big E's been there. He's been at every show. He's been around now, not clear to be in action, not at ringside. I get it, but no promos, no be there for your boys.
With them for all of this.
He could have been there the whole time, but instead he was too busy thinking of himself and going and putting together his own announcing career. So maybe he can sit at that table thinking about his future, his own individualistic future, and not thinking about his friends as a whole. Now, I don't blame Big E for that either, but don't pretend like he didn't do anything. That like they just double crossed him. Oh, the crybabies out there. I guess the Cody crybabies have just switched sides and are being completely unfair to Kofi and Xavier Woods because they are now just going out there and doing what they need to do to be successful. The same way Big E did.
I'm going to put this out there. Kofi and Woods need to win the tag team titles again. Coming out of this. They need to. I think in order to justify all of this, they need to.
I think they easily win it too. I mean,
this is like, I will liken this back to Billy Kidman, like turning on the flock, or Juventud Guerrera losing the mask. Like you need to have them step up and get the big win after this to prove that their decision to go down this route is the right one.
Yeah,
for them at least. Even if you don't agree with it, you can't dispute their success then.
But I do think there's a good chance that this is setting up Big E's return at the Royal Rumble.
I think so too.
Just saying.
I'm not sure if I agree with you that he's going to join them afterwards. I think this is going to turn into him attacking them.
I didn't say that.
You said it'd be cool though, and I don't disagree with you. I can
see it. The way in is I'm back. I'm with you guys. Let's do it, and they can go back that route. I don't think they will, but
does he come out and it's like, hey, look, I'm finally cleared. Like now I can really be with you, and they turn on him even harder now. Like now they hit him with the chair, and now they like really just double team him.
That was my one thing that when Kofi was like, we could have hit him with the chair. And I was like, you're not helping your cause here, bud. You could have said anything else.
Yeah. He's got a broken neck, man. He does have a broken neck. Like you could have.
No, you couldn't hit him with the chair. He's not cleared.
Let's get into the main event of the evening. The main event. And that's Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez in an anything goes match. We're just coming up with new names for these matches. Hardcore, anything goes, extreme rules, no DQ, no count out, no holds barred. They're all the same match.
Bloodline rules.
It's all the same match. I was interested going into this match because I've been like hypercritical of Raquel since she's come back. And I will say this is probably the best work I've seen her do since coming back. She does still have a bit of trepidation doing certain things. And this is what I will say is that trepidation is affecting her flow of movements at times. It's, again, the bad jump for the riptide and things like that. A lot of that is, I believe that's just pure trepidation. Just nervousness almost.
I would have much rather, I wish this was just a tables match instead of an anything goes match. Because the way that ending happened would have been great if it would have just ended there with that toss through the table.
We get Liv constantly getting involved in this match, but honestly, her getting involved is helping the match get over at this point.
Sure,
I think her being involved with it helps cover up a little bit of Raquel still having that rust.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's ever going to be a world where Rhea Ripley has ring rust. I think she came back off of that shoulder thing and looked just as good as she ever did. So unless this is something where Rhea Ripley's going to be out for like 2 years. I don't see her coming back ever where like she's going to have that trepidation or that ring rust. We get Rhea going over cleanly on this, and when Liv and Raquel go to jump Rhea, Io Sky comes out to even out the odds. Rhea wins with the Riptide. We then get the scene of Rhea and Io both holding the title at the end. Like, who's gonna... This, I feel like wrestling math means that is more reason for Rhea to help Io win this belt. And we're eventually going to get, once Rhea is done with Liv, we'll eventually get Io and Rhea going at it because they are so clearly and without any hiding friends.
Yeah.
They have a special relationship. When Io jumps on her at the end of War Games and all but dry humps her in the middle of the ring, you are friends, guys. Like, it doesn't matter if you were baby faces or heels at that point. You're friends. At least.
Yeah, and the one thing everyone knows in wrestling is that you want to work with your friends.
You do want to work with your friends. You hit your friends harder. I mean, I'm just saying. I remember a match or two in Rova Farms where me and a certain Showtime hit each other really effing hard.
I didn't hit you all that hard. You were just overreacting and hitting me. That was your MO in the Rova Farms.
Yeah, that's what it was. I overreacted a lot in Rova Farms. Jerk. Oh man! All right, but that was WWE and TNA this week.
Okay, Steven, I got it for you. Ready? I think I have it for you. The Survivor Series match, tag match. The name of it, I didn't forget. If I was thinking, is the 10-man scramble. So that's what I was able to get when I couldn't think about it clearly because we were talking about everything. I'll see if I can come up with something better than that. But I think that has a cool look to it because you're kind of going back and forth. Maybe you do make a rule that if you switch, you could switch rings with the other person. That kind of goes with like the scramble rules of golf or however you want to tie that in.
Best ball.
Yeah, so like that's kind of where I was landing on. Like if everyone exit the ring, maybe you can like 2 new people can come in, add that kind of element like they do with some of those tag matches where when someone gets tossed out. So we'll call it the Survivor Series 10-man scramble.
I like it. I'm in.
I like the rules of the match better than I like the name of it, but still.
We might come up with a better name by next week.
Yeah.
So Legion, real quick, just to go over everything that we have either come out with or will be coming out with. So we just released our NXT review for for Deadline. Thank you. I almost lost the name of that. So please watch, listen, pay attention to that. Also, we will be doing a review of Saturday night's main event. Showtime and I should be doing a review of Final Resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of the month, we will be doing a preview and a review for AEW World's End. That is literally the last pay-per-view of the year. It falls on December 28th. There's no way there's another pay-per-view after that. And then to start the year, we will also be having a review of both New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom and the Wrestle Dynasty collaboration pay-per-view that they do, in which Showtime might make a surprise appearance on one of those.
We'll see.
We might. We don't want to... We need to subvert some expectations. We need to make sure we manage what people expect of us.
Yeah, I had to find the time to watch 2 pay-per-views in a row. That's like impossible these days.
But folks, we have been getting a lot more streams and a lot more looks on our YouTube channel. So Legion, I want to thank you for that. We appreciate you more than you will ever know. If you know someone who likes wrestling and you like our show, direct them to us. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, hit the comment. Talk to us. I can guarantee you that every comment that has come through, we have at the very least acknowledged it. So please.
No, I'm acknowledging it.
We do acknowledge it.
Isn't
Yeah,
that that's a wrestling thing, right? We acknowledge
that is the wrestling thing. So there are times where if it's overall, just kind of we might at least just give you a like for the comment, but I promise you that if it is a question or a real comment, we will comment and acknowledge back to you. Let's see. Let me see what her name is again. I believe it's Damsel in Distress has been our biggest supporter lately, which way to go for her. Apparently she loves Hound. So
who doesn't?
Who doesn't? He's great. But we're starting to make that trend towards being able to do a lot more content and justifying it by possibly being monetized, guys. I know I don't want to push money too much on you guys, but it's a big deal when a channel gets monetized, and you guys being along with us means so much for that reason. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love doing this. I love talking to these fools. It's honestly the best part of what I do each week, and connecting with you guys. So Legion,
100%.
thank you.
Couldn't agree more. I think, we have some cool things up our sleeves right now. Nothing that we can really talk about, but there's some pretty possibly big names that are going to come in for some interviews coming up. Interviews fall through all the time. I remember originally on the show, we were supposed to have a pretty big first guest star. And they fell through at the last minute with everyone's busy. There's reasons why you can't do it.
Contracts, things like that.
Yeah, the fact that they were willing to come on in the first place means the world to us, even if it didn't work out. So definitely things that we really like. I think we have a couple of those happening right now in the back, behind the curtain with the Wizard. So we'll definitely announce those when we have a chance to do so. But there's some cool stuff brewing up. So stick around, tell your friends, share, like those thumbs up buttons. I wish there was an acknowledge button. That's
I want
the
an
better
acknowledge
one.
button.
And just thank you all for all the support. We appreciate it. That's why we keep coming back. Steven, I was looking back, we've been doing this for 9 months now.
I know. We're February will officially be a year of us doing this.
Yeah. Elimination Chamber in my mind is like essentially the for me, it's like the year. I know that we started a little bit before that, but like that was the first PLE that we reviewed.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 9 months. We've had some great guests. We've had some hosts that turned into guests, I guess we could say. Scarps might eventually come back. We brought the Boom. We've got Hound on here now, who, like we said, everybody loves Hound.
Everyone, he's fantastic.
Except for maybe Takeshita.
Yeah, we'll see. I want to see the two of those go at it. So
I want this. I said on the show, I hope that Takeshita eventually offers Hound his big AJ moment. Awesome.
We'll see how that one goes down.
But Showtime, anything else to add to the Legion?
No, we appreciate you guys. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Any kind of feedback, let me know how much you like that Survivor Series match concept. We really want to hear more from you. And of course, as always, Steven.
Guys, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.